Hello, I'm Karen, moderator. Right now I'm driving to the sea. Matthew meets me there. The story that will be told today it's still about Pooh as before. The broadcaster for this story is Matthew. Is about experience an experiment at an abandoned house in Laos, where this incident happened in 1993, and then Pooh met with this story. The title is Be Deceived by a Ghost. Hi Matthew, how are you?
Hi Karen, I'm fine.
Let's talk about this matter, where Pooh went to try it at an abandoned house. In Laos in 1993, right?
Called, Pooh, to be carried away to release would be better. Ha ha ha.
Oh, was it released?
Let's start telling.
Okay.
About 3 to 4 months after the incident of Ta Chan, at the company where Pooh worked, he went to bid for a new concession area. The surprising thing is, when submitting an auction envelope, there is no company that submits a bidding envelope to compete with it. There's just another company. That is a new company only. Then the company that Pooh works for wins the competition. At that time, there were no clerks available. There are 4 clerks in the company including Pooh. The only person left is Pooh. Pooh must recruit Laotians to guard their belongings. When telling me where to work, no one took the job at all.
It's abnormal.
That's right. There were people in the temple area at that time. He recommended one of the workers. But he's already very old. About 80 years old. His name is Old Pei. He is a hunter. He usually goes in and out of the forest all the time. But he also promised to work. After that, he traveled to his place of work. And then started building a workers' camp. Old Pei went to bring the copper wire to nail every pole for building camps. He said when he went to bed, the ladder must be pulled up every time. And absolutely do not go down below. The bonfire below had to stay on until morning. Do not extinguish the fire at all. Workers are strictly prohibited from hunting in this forest area. For us to work this time, had to go deeper into the forest than last time. Entering it will pass through a mountain with a cave. And in this cave, there is a rock growing in the shape of an elephant's head. Deep inside, it will be a 2-way intersection around the mountain ridge. By Pooh's workplace, turn to the left side. Old Pei is a person who speaks very little. Speak as much as you really need. Pooh asked him. Pooh is the only woman who comes to work. What should I do? Old Pei told Pooh that he would let his granddaughter come to sleep with her. The first day must be marked with cut wood. The trees there were very tall. 2 straight stems next to each other at intervals. Pooh feels bad about this forest. First night. Granddaughter of Old Pei arrives on a bicycle at sunset. Then go up to sleep in the camp with Pooh. Without saying anything to Pooh, this girl is about 18 to 19 years old. White skin. Beautiful face. The girl will wear the same clothes every day. Wear a white shirt with a collar. Wear a black sarong with stripes.
Probably a sarong from Laos or not?
Yes. At about 5 a.m., the girl wakes up. And then ride the vehicle back. Do this for 3 days in a row. Day 4. Pooh goes out to do paperwork. About the queue to cut the wood. At the Laos sawmill and then proceed to the document. About staying overnight on the Laos side. Around 4 p.m., Number, who works with Pooh, rides a motorcycle to pick up Pooh. On the way back. It's twilight. The ground will look like a red clay terrace. On both sides of the path are tall trees. Usually have to turn to the left. But Number turns to the right. Maid, Pooh, asks with suspicion. Number says that this way is a shortcut. Spend less time traveling. Pooh was uncomfortable because it was an unfamiliar path, but he didn't say anything. Pooh noticed that on the left side, it is an open courtyard with the remains of black wood. The pile is in a square shape, very old and dilapidated. Past route. The trees are getting smaller. Found an open courtyard with 2 to 3 houses. But there were no people. Characteristics of the house raised on stilts. There is a roof from top to bottom. The door was a decayed brown cloth. There is no ladder. There is a large hole dug in the floor. Nearby there is a mortar. Pooh, who at that time began to fear. So he asked Number why he came this way. Number replied, he heard the Lao people say that they must not come this way. After that, Number parked the car and dragged the ladder over the house, and then climbed up to the top. Pooh walks from the motorcycle to the tree. At that moment the pestle that floated above the mortar, falling down to hit the mortar below.
From where it floats.
Yes, which is the nature of the mortar. If no one stepped on it, it was impossible for the pestle to be down by itself.
Yes. A mortar, I can imagine, must step on one side, so that the other side hits the mortar.
Yes. When the universal hit the mortar for the first time, Pooh looked but saw nothing. But the universal came down and hit the mortar 2 more times. Pooh was very scared, so walked back to the motorcycle and shouted to Number at the top of the house. But there was no answer. But there was a sound of a mortar hitting the mortar 3 more times. Pooh hurriedly walked back to the tree. At that moment Number jumped from above, then get on a motorcycle and ride away immediately.
Oh, and leave Pooh there alone?
Yes. Pooh stood and hugged the tree tightly. The pestle still hit the mortar again. Then there was the sound of opening the cloth blocking the door. Pooh immediately ran away, where the sound of the pestle hits the mortar. It's still loud and loud after Pooh. The sky is getting darker and darker. Pooh tried to tell herself, absolutely do not look to the side, and try to ignore the sound that follows. But she couldn't help but look to the right side. There was a pile of wooden squares with people sitting on top. Pooh collapsed and sat on the floor, and then gradually moved. Go and sit in a tree and cry. But heard a cry that came up with the voice of Pooh. Pooh heard the sound of a bicycle coming to the right. Old Pei's granddaughter rode just in time. She parked the car and turned around. Then she pointed to the pillion seat. Pooh therefore said that he would be a rider himself. Then let the granddaughter of Old Pei be the pillion, because the girl was much smaller than Pooh. But the girl shook her head. Pooh therefore agrees to overlay the young girl. When they arrived at the camp, Pooh is still very angry with Number, walks up to Number and kicks him until Number falls to the ground. But the appearance of the Number lay trembling. Say nothing. Then raise your hand to pay respect to apologize to Pooh. Old Pei asked what happened. Pooh then told Old Pei about the incident. Old Pei told Pooh to take a shower and change clothes. Then bring him the worn clothes. Then he made a human-shaped straw puppet. Then cut that shirt pants to wrap it on a straw puppet, and ordered Pooh to go up to the camp. Absolutely do not come down. Hear anything, do not speak, do not cry. By taking the Number up with him. Then Old Pei put everything in the bag, and called one of the workers. Have a motorbike ride take him to an abandoned house. All the workers were talking to each other. Number, shouldn't do that. Because all Lao people know each other well. That you shouldn't mess with that abandoned house. Even people who go hunting did not go near this abandoned house at all. Number didn't say anything. He sat on his knees, crossing his knees. Around 10 p.m., around the towering trees in front of the camp, about 4 to 5 trees, there are old people with disheveled hair, wear a long-sleeved mahjong shirt, black sarong, perched at the base of a tree. Pooh was about to open his mouth to ask, but the granddaughter of old Pei grabbed Pooh's arm and shook her head not to speak. One teacher to that person. He climbed up the tree, up to the top of the tree, which is not possible with normal old people. Will climb up a tree with bare hands. Let everyone in the camp know that. What are you seeing? After a moment, he climbed back down, with the head turned downwards. And it did this all night long. Then there will be a sound like pounding something around the camp. Pooh turned to look at the face. Number. He shook his head, saying that he had done nothing. Pooh said that it was impossible. What did Number have to go through? Number still refused. Nom said. After he went up to the top, found a wooden chest, about the size of a shoebox. He opened the box and found that there was a necklace inside. He picked up. Then the necklace is broken. Pooh said that it must be angry about this or not. So it follows back here. When the Nom heard that, so he took out his fake eyeballs, then put it in the hand of Pooh. Then say Pooh to keep it, in case it does not remember the face of Nom.
Huh, are they fake eyes?
Yes. He's wearing one prosthetic eye, because he had an accident since childhood. At that time, Pooh did something wrong. Looking at the face of Nom, he saw that one eye was hollow and looked scary. There are ghosts in front of the camp. After that, old Pei came back. His hand was holding a wooden box back with him. You called Nom downstairs. Then they both disappeared. After a moment, he walked back, then told Pooh to bring Nom back to the Thai side and never come back to the Lao side again. Pooh asked old Pei what happened, but he still hasn't told anything. He brought Pooh's old clothes to burn in the fire and said that he had made representatives of Pooh and Nom. Leave them at that house. It's as if it can get both of them. But Nom went to destroy his stuff, so it will take life. And then the whole thing ended. Pooh stayed to work for another 2 days. Pooh went to buy clothes and sarongs to the granddaughter of old Pei to thank you for picking up Pooh that day. Because throughout the period of 5 to 6 days that Pooh worked, she saw a young girl wearing only one set of clothes. Pooh told old Pei that he left the clothes for his granddaughter. Old Pei laughed, then said to give it to her. She can't wear it. Made Pooh very suspicious. Old Pei laughed again, and said that it's better to give it to someone else to wear. But Pooh insisted on old Pei, because he really wanted to thank the granddaughter of old Pei. Old Pei said, if you really want it, look at this. He reached into the bag and take out one thing. It's a mannequin wearing a white shirt, black striped cloth bag. There is real human hair on the head. On both arms, there are nails. On both legs, there are nails. Pooh asked old Pei. 5 days ago, Pooh slept with whom? Old Pei replied that he slept with his granddaughter that died 30 years ago.
It's like old Pei, you raised a ghost, right?
Pooh came to know later that Old Pei, he's a player. It's a ranger. He's been a ranger since he was a kid. Is according to his family. He has his subjects.
Which is normal for hunters.
Pooh believes in ghosts, but do not believe in superstition.
It's normal for hunters anyway. What subjects will he have?
Yes, Pooh understands that. Why is he the only one who accepts this work? Pooh asked Old Pei about the death of her granddaughter. So why does Old Pei have to do this? Old Pei said that 30 years ago, his granddaughter fell in love with a Thai man on the Thai side, which at that time men came to work in Laos made a meeting with his granddaughter. Later, his granddaughter became pregnant. Not everyone can take it, therefore causing his granddaughter to hang himself. Old Pei thought that his granddaughter had died prematurely, so he made a puppet of his granddaughter. Pooh asked, why did Old Pei let his nephew come to sleep with Pooh? Didn't think that Pooh would be afraid. Old Pei laughed. This is just the beginning, because Pooh still has to meet a lot. It's a human nature that you know if you've met once. There are usually second, third, fourth times following each other. When Pooh returns to the Thai side, therefore hurry to make merit, by making merit for the granddaughter of Old Pei, along with other souls on the Lao side as well. Then believe it or not. After all, it's true. As Old Pei said, Pooh will still have to meet again.
It's the same as Pooh has always told me that she has to encounter various things.
But usually, Pooh will rarely meet face to face, often found in the form of a sound that met face to face. There was only one time that it was a story told by the younger brother of Pooh. Other than that, it was a story told by an adult.
Okay. Let me go back to that house first. Do you know what the house has?
Heard from the worker in the sawmill. He said earlier, there was a man and a woman in that house. After that, the man brought his mother to live with him. Then she had the symptoms of being possessed by a forest ghost, causing a knife to be stabbed into the neck of the son and daughter-in-law. Then she disappeared into the forest. At that time, there were people who met often. Do you remember the pile of square wood? The rangers brought the bodies of the man and woman. Let's burn at this pile of wood. But the burn is not complete. They dispersed back. But the mother of both men and women returned. Then dragged the corpses of both men and women out to eat.
This is a story from the Lao side, right? It's very cruel.
Yes, the worker told me about it. When someone found him, he fled into the forest. But this story, it was about 60 to 70 years ago.
Like a legend, it's the story of this forest. Called a man's mother. Got hit by a wild ghost and lost his mind.
Yes, when I went to see the body of my son-daughter-in-law. A knife was found in both necks.
Show that. Everyone who knows that area will not interfere. No one will go to work or go into the job absolutely. Therefore making Old Pei the only person who accepts this job. Then the important thing is number. How did he know the history of this house?
Workers say that it's time to come to work. It is strictly forbidden to turn out of the way. If going out to the intersection, absolutely do not turn in this direction. Which number is a teenager?
The more you forbid it, the more it seems, right?
Yes, Nam. Asked the reason for not going that way, the workers only said that there was an abandoned house. Nom, when he heard that the house was abandoned. I'm curious and want to try. When you go to the top and see a wooden chest, don't mess around.
You shouldn't get in trouble. You shouldn't even catch it.
Go his turn. And brought him out with him. Then the reason why the man's mother was possessed by a ghost. It might be a raised ghost. Because in the house there is a clay pot. Like a herder of ghosts. So not many people want to mess around. But Pooh doesn't know what Old Pay is doing in this house. I just know that you made a figure of Pooh and Nom and took it.
He would probably go and act as his successor, according to his course. But the angry face is, number, wants to try and not go alone. Bring innocent people with you. And still left alone if assuming that Pooh is lost in the forest, he can't find a way out.
If granddaughter Old Pay didn't go that day, Pooh would definitely die there.
It's like Old Pay can send it to help.
Probably so. Because no one dares to ride a car to pick up Pooh.
Okay. It's a lot of fun. The story of Pooh. But at that time it wasn't funny, it wasn't fun. It was quite stressful. Because he was left alone. All listeners must imagine that there are only forests around them.
Then what was embedded in the mind of Pooh? When I turned around, I saw a person sitting on a pile of square wood. Pooh tries to hide behind the tree. Definitely don't let that person see you.
Okay. Think of the atmosphere in the forest. Very fun and exciting. In the title, Be Deceived by a Ghost. Which we didn't intend to try. But the young man dragged us into involvement as well. Causing us to encounter strange events. An event that almost didn't survive. Can I use this word at all? Well, that's it. How are you going to live in the forest? Thank you very much, Matthew, for this story. In the next opportunity, we will hear the story of Pooh again.
Next time, I'll tell you about Aunt Dang, who is a friend of Aunt Dam, along with 3 other friends.
Yes. Thank you again. Bye.
Bye.